Hi, it's Tom. Today's video, which is the third in the sequence, is to talk about tracking and how to track your vital metrics or statistics, whatever you want to call them. Now, as part of the coaching process, it's only possible to effectively coach you if I can see some data as to how things are going. The reason I don't ask people to say, "Oh, how are you feeling today?" or how you feel the diet's going, although those are important questions, many people's views of themselves will be distorted. A lot of people will say, "Oh, I feel like crap today," or "I look like crap today," or "the diet's not working," or whatever, because that's their own perception of it. When actually you look at the data, you drill down into the data, things like body weight, calories, activity, workout calories, protein intake, all those things are really important metrics for me to determine if the diet is actually working, but also the photos that you can upload, the tracking photos, help you see where you've come. Because we all look at ourselves in the mirror in the morning and go, "Ugh, don't like that." But actually, if you looked at a picture from, say, 4 to 6 weeks ago, you go, "Well, actually, I've changed a fair bit." But because we see ourselves every day, we don't notice that change. It's only when you see someone you haven't seen for a little while and go, "Hi," and they go, "Hey, have you lost weight? You look bigger." You go, "Oh, thank you. Yeah, I have." But we don't see it ourselves. So that's the importance of tracking. So in the tracking, so if you go into your app, bottom right as you look at it, there'll be a thing that says tracking. So you go into that, or reporting it might be. Depends on the app. So you go into the reporting, bottom right anyway, it's got a little squiggle line, and you go into there. Now there's something called client tracking, which I want you to track. Now there's 8 metrics there. You don't have to track all of them. Certainly the carbs and the fats are things you don't have to track if you don't want to. What I would suggest is your daily weight. That's important for me to track trends. So many people's weight will vary over the course of the week, and also the day. If you weigh yourself in the morning and go in the evening, you get a different weight. That's because of water retention, food volume, how much you've sweated, how much you've excreted out, all those sorts of things that they come into play. So we need to track weight as a part of an average over a week. Weighing once a week is absolutely useless. There's no point doing that. You're just not going to get the value and the data you need from that, because you might be heavy on a Saturday morning and just lighter the rest of the week, but because you're heavy on a Saturday morning, you're really, heavy again, and it puts you right off. So we don't do weekly weigh-ins. If you're only going to weigh once a week, don't weigh at all, because you'll just end up being feeling negative about it. If you can, if it's okay with your mindset, weigh every day. Get on the scales. Okay, that's what it is. Write it down. Done. You don't have to think about it any more than that until we come to the check-in, where we look at your trend over the week, and then we can see if the diet's working. Okay, we can see events going down. It might be this through the week, up, down, all the way through the week. It's quite common. I see that a lot with clients. Doesn't matter, as long as the average trend is downwards. That's great. It's working. If your goal is to lose body fat, then that's working. If your goal is muscle gain, we need a bit of a different way of measuring there. So it's important I have that data. So daily weight is really important. Steps that you've done gives me an indication of your overall activity in the day. This is important to say if we're doing a diet or a restricted calorie diet, because if we're doing restricted calories, one of the defense mechanisms for the body will be to restrict your activity, restrict your NEAT, which is non-exercise activity thermogenesis. It's basically all the movement you do which isn't in the gym. So if it's asked to restrict that ever so slightly, you'll find your steps coming down. It's the body's way of, okay, we've got a deficit, our activity's here, okay, we're going to drop steps to meet that. So that's when you reach the plateau and the weight stops coming off. So it's really important we track that the steps aren't going down. So steps are an indication of your overall activity. If you've got a watch like this or whatever, keep it on when you train. Just incorporate the training steps. And even if you're doing running and stuff like that, because it's a measure of your overall activity. So I don't require people to take the watch off when they're training, or watch off when they're doing running or cardio or whatever. Just keep it there, because it's a measure of your overall activity. That's what we're looking at, so that's fine. Calories eaten, that's quite important, because if you're overeating calories, doesn't matter what sort of exercise you're doing, what sort of training you're doing, if you're overeating, you're still not going to lose body fat, unfortunately. Sorry about that. That's just the way science works. Sorry, science. You've got to make sure that you're eating within your calories. And again, you can work that out using if you go to coaching text documents, there's a link there, calorie calculator. Go there, it will tell you how many calories you should be eating, and then you can eat to one of the plans that is in the PDFs. So if you go to coaching PDFs, there's a whole list of diet plans you can pick from, which closely match your calories. There is a bit of an error margin in there. I built that in. So if say if it says, oh, your calories are 1800 and it's like 1750 on the diet, that's fine. Just pick that one. The important thing is to get you eating close to as we can your calories. So that's absolutely fine. Just pick the one that's closest to. There's an error margin built in. So calories eating, that's a good one. Calories from cardio and calories from weight training. The reason I lift them separately is because cardio is running and stuff like that, whereas weight training is burning up more glycogen through muscle contraction. There's slightly different processes goes on in the body there. I won't bore you with the details of that. You can ask me in the coaching call if you want. But it's important that I know what you're doing in terms of running and stuff like that, and jogging, and what you're doing in terms of weights, because that can also affect your overall body composition and how you actually look at the end of the day. Because a lot of people do loads of cardio, don't do no weights, and just look skinny and just look crappy. Whereas if you do minimum cardio and loads of weights, you might look a bit better. So that's not just saying that for everybody, but that's something I've seen with clients. You know, they overdo the cardio and don't do the weights, they tend to look a bit skinny and scrawny. Where this program is about making your body look as best as we can. So we do want to train with weights, and cardio is another necessary thing that we do when we need it. So that's important. Protein intake helps me determine that you are eating enough protein to build muscle. That's really important. There's also other benefits of protein which you can ask me about if you want to. And carbohydrates is sort of important if you're doing a lot of weights, because if you're not eating enough carbs, you might not be fueling your weights training sessions enough. And fat is only really so I can see you're not overeating fat. Many diets promote high fat intake in favor of carbs. I'm not a proponent of those sorts of diets, especially if you're training with weights. But some diets do that, and so I just want to see that your diet, your fats are in check. But carbohydrates and fats are not necessary metrics for you to track if you're getting overwhelmed with all that. It just helps me a little bit. And there's some notes as well. So every day, if you can write in a note about how the day went, any unusual things. When it comes round to when I'm looking at your back office, I can see all the data you put in, and I can read the notes that you put in. It helps me because when we get to the weekly check-in, and you write in the check-in, oh, blah, 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 whatever the problem is, and I go, okay, so now I'm looking at that, I can see where the problem is because you've given me all that data. If you say in your check-in, oh, this is the problem, blah, 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 and I look at your data and it's like, no data there, I don't know what the problem is. So I can't really help you coach then. You've got to help me to help you. So filling in that sheet once a day, it only takes about, I think, a minute to fill it in if you track it through all the other stuff you're doing. You might need an app like MyFitnessPal to track the calories and stuff like that. And you might need a step counter like a watch or something to track the steps. So if you've got all those things, great. If you haven't, I can give you, I think in the text documents, there's some links to get cheap sort of step counters and stuff like that, and also a link to the apps you can use. So they're all there. But yeah, tracking is really, really important. There will be a stage you come to where you don't need to track stuff. So now I don't really track my stuff. I do wear a MyZone monitor when I train just to see like a vanity metric to see how many calories I burn. And also it's a nice thing for social media to put on a little square with all my little bars and stuff saying about how well I've done in the workout. But I don't really track stuff because I'm at the point now, I've been doing it so long that I know this sort of food in the day is enough for me, and I know that my current level of activity is enough for me. Although I do look at my steps every day just to make sure I'm there, I don't track it because I don't need to. And that really is where we want to get you to. We want to get you to the point you don't need to track because you've been doing it for so long and you've got built up the habit and you're so confident about what you're doing, you don't need to track. You just go, right, I know what's right for me. If the case you start to gain a little bit of fat or whatever, then you go back to tracking for say a week or two just to make sure you're still doing the same things you were doing before. But the idea is to get you doing all this tracking now, so in X amount of time when you're happy not tracking, you don't have to, and you can get on with your life without doing that sort of thing. But it's important to do it now. The more you practice doing something, the more you don't need to do it in the future. So that's the importance of tracking. Remember, this is a coaching program. It's about getting you the body you want. Helping me with the tracking helps me to help you to get the body you want. So it's not homework. This is stuff that you're doing to help you. So please do put your tracking in. And then when it comes to check-in, I've got exactly in front of me all the information I need to give you the correct advice to move forward. Don't track. I can't give you the advice you need, and you'll end up potentially wasting money on the program. Although the workouts are good and obviously everything I do in here is awesome, but if you're not helping me to help you, you're not going to get your money's worth out of it, as in the results that you want. The best results come from the people who track, who contribute in the group, who really get involved in the program. They're the people that get the results, who get the really, really good long-term results. Be one of those people. Don't just be one of the people who signs up to a program, does nothing, and then go, oh, that program was crap, it didn't work for me, because you didn't work for it. Okay, you've got to make sure there's double weight going there. Okay, so sorry to finish on a bit of a teacher scolding moment there, but it's really important that you do track at least some of your stuff. So please go and do that. If you can, try and do it every day. But 4 to 5 out of 7 days is good enough for me to get a good average. Okay, thanks for watching. Speak to you in the next video.